Hey everyone, this is Mark here at Discover Your Home. Thank you again for joining me tonight. And we're going to talk about a question I get asked quite often, quite frequently. And it's usually homes that were built 60s, 70s, 80s, and probably even into the late 90s. How do I clean my aluminum siding? Can I clean it? Can I paint it? But we're going to really talk about getting your siding clean, possibly ready for paint, or just giving it a good cleaning. So what is the problem generally with aluminum siding? And it really comes down to oxidation. And what oxidation is the paint that is applied to the surface of the aluminum, and basically what happens is that it is starting to break down. A great way, a simple test is to take your hand, your fingers, and run, put some pressure on it, rub across the surface. If you look on your hand and there's kind of a white chalkiness on your fingertips, that's oxidation. That means that paint is breaking down. So if you have like a tan colored house, 20 years from now, it'll look almost kind of pink because there's obviously red pigmentation that's in the siding when it was manufactured. So that's what's happening. It's starting to lose its color, it's starting to break down, and that chalkiness needs to come off. So what we're going to use is, you can go to any hardware store, find some cleaners that are out there. There's a product, I hope I'm saying it correct, is oxalic acid. It's you can find it. It's a cleaning agent. You can use that. You can use I'm trying to think, Simple Green. A lot of different products that you can use to clean the outside. Try to find what works best for you, what your capabilities are, and kind of go in that direction. I say keep it simple. Run down to the hardware store, your paint store, talk to the local reps, see what they recommend. You can either attach it to a hose, spray it on the siding, or you can feed it through a chemical injector through a pressure washer or pump sprayer. A lot of different ways that you can do apply the cleaner. So let's talk a little bit about what we recommend is using a pressure washer, and simply 2,500 to 3,000 psi. You want to use a wider fan tip. I always tell folks, when you use the wand or the gun, when you're using the pressure washer, you want to, first and foremost, you never want to stop, because it'll leave a pattern. You don't want to get too close, because it will leave a cleaning pattern. So you've got to make sure that you're far enough off, and you're constantly moving the gun or the wand back and forth or up and down. However, keep it very consistent. I think I find a lot of times with professionals and non-professionals is they don't even pattern the gun. So you got to take your time, be patient, because you've got a lot of pressure coming out of that gun. So take your time, because it'll be well worth it. If you clean it nice and evenly, it looks great. Sometimes if you get a little too hard on it, you'll see cleaning patterns. Now, if you're looking to paint over the top of it, I'm fine with the wash patterns. That doesn't bother me one bit. It's just if you're not going to paint over it, you're just really looking to clean the outside of the house. Okay, so typical gas driven. You can get electric driven. I find the gas ones work a little bit better. They have a little bit more pressure. Usually they got bigger wheels. They're easy to wheel around. You can buy one, rent one. There's quite a few out there that you can take a look and see what'll be best suit your needs. Start off with your pressure low, then dial it up. How much cleaning, how high it is, your comfort level. So a lot of them have pressure dials on them, so you can dial it down, then work your way up. Because I'll tell you what, you spend a good 4 to 6 hours pressure washing on the exterior of your home. It's a lot of force against your body, and I'm a pretty big guy. I'm fairly strong, and I'll tell you what, you spend 4 to 6 hours of constant pressure washing. It's going to take a toll, especially on a an 80 or 90 degree day with a little bit of humidity up here in the Chicagoland area, it doesn't feel like it's that hot out because the water's splashing on you. The overspray is, but at the end of that day, you'll be surprised on how worn out you can be. So, what you don't want to do is make sure you're not denting the siding, you're not using the wrong tip. Use the correct tip. Don't use a 0 degree tip. I've talked about that in previous shows. Make sure you're when you're patterning your gun, you pattern down, okay? You don't want to be blowing up and pushing up the siding because the siding is laid on top of one another. And if you get underneath it, you can lift that siding off and possibly bend it back or get behind the seam. So you don't want to do that. You don't want water getting behind it. So kind of work, probably about a 15 degree angle where you're patterning it down as opposed to up. Okay, so then you're pushing on the lap siding, which most aluminum siding is. It's one lap over the other. You're pushing it down as opposed to up. Rinse as you go. Sometimes it requires cleaning it twice, depending upon how old the home is. There again, depends on if you're going to go ahead and paint it. There's a number of different factors there for you. So hopefully these are some little tips that'll help you. I recommend doing at least once or twice a year. You'd be surprised on how dirty your home will get. You're going to get rid of the spider webs. You're going to get rid of just dirt. If you live closer to a major metropolitan city, you will find that there'll be a lot of dust from the cars and exhaust that kind of cling to the siding. You'd be amazed on how dirty and how fast that can happen. Get rid of bird dung and possibly birds get up and nest up near the gutters and downspouts up in the siding. So a lot of times when they leave the nest, the birds leave the nest. They leave the nest behind. So I'd highly recommend just washing it down. Great time at this point in time if you're up there. If you're comfortable, your roof is walkable, you might want to get in there and wash down the gutters and downspouts, get them all cleaned out. You might find those tennis balls or baseballs that are keeping the gutters from doing their job properly. Also, you're going to probably run across possibly some bad shingles or some rotted trim work on the outside. So when you're going ahead and doing one thing, let's make sure we're out there and just keeping our eyes open to some other things that are going on in the house. Because people don't realize in a short period of time, especially here in the Chicagoland area, in a 5 or 6 month period of time, especially going from say 67 degrees to 4 or 5, 5-10 degrees below zero, that makes the house expand and contract, and a lot of damage can be done in 5 or 6 months. So hopefully that's a help to you guys. Thank you again for joining me. I'm Mark at Discover Your Home, and have yourselves a great week. Talk to you soon.